In the beginning of December, snowflakes drifted softly from the sky, blanketing the forest in shimmering white. Deep in the heart of the woods stood an ancient sequoia tree, taller than any other and older than memory itself. It also was the only one in that forest, which in a sense acted like a beacon, a guide, let's say. It was under this tree that the animals of the forest gathered every year to celebrate the start of winter and to thank the frost fairies for their magic. It was a magical place, full of warmth and light, where they could come together to celebrate the season, share their hopes for the winter, and protect one another from the cold. The fairies' work was vital. They wove a protective frost blanket over the forest, shielding the trees and earth from the harshest winter winds. But this year, the atmosphere under the tree was different. The animals huddled in quiet anxiety, their voices hushed and their faces weary. The summer fire that had raged through the forest had left scars. Many of the food supplies had been destroyed, and the forest was struggling to recover. Though the first snow had come, it had only hidden the remnants of what little food remained, making survival even harder. The frost fairies had come to the gathering to ensure the safety and warmth of the forest. But when they arrived, they noticed something was wrong. The usual excitement of the animals was missing. The air felt thick with unease, and the fairies sensed it in their bones. Astra, the leader of the fairies, fluttered down to the forest floor, her wings sparkling like silver in the twilight. "Something isn't right," she murmured. "Look at them." The other fairies nodded in agreement, their eyes scanning the gathering of animals. It was Ember, a clever and fiery fox, who approached the group of fairies with a knowing look. "Ember," Astra said softly, her wings fluttering. "You seem to know the forest better than any of us. What's going on?" Ember hesitated, his amber eyes flickering with the weight of the truth. "The fire," he said. "The summer wildfire tore through the forest, and now there's barely any food left. The snow's come, yes, but it's covered everything we might have found. We're struggling to make it through." The fairies exchanged concerned glances. "What could we do to help?" one of them asked. "We can't leave things as is, but we never dealt with a shortage before. How can we use our magic to protect the forest if there's nothing to protect?" Ember nodded, then suddenly an idea springs in his mind. "Could you use your magic to guide us to the hidden food? There might still be some buried under the snow somewhere, forgotten, or tucked away where the animals can't reach it. You could use your frost magic to help us find what's left." The fairies looked to Astra, who considered Ember's words carefully. "That is an amazing idea. We can certainly try. If we could find the food, we could restore some hope to the animals. They've been so anxious, and it's draining their strength." She turned to the other fairies. "Let's do what we can. We can follow the magic of the frost, and maybe we'll uncover what's been hidden." With a shimmer of light, the fairies began to weave their frost magic, sending out glowing threads that spread across the forest, seeking any trace of the forgotten food. Ember watched as the threads of frost glowed, lighting up the path ahead. He paced in the shown direction as fast as he could. Every moment was precious. First, the frost led them to a hollow in a tree, where a few dried berries lay hidden beneath a blanket of snow. Ember gathered them carefully in his paws and placed them in a frost sled-like basket the fairies made for him. Next, the frost magic led them to a pile of mushrooms tucked beneath a snow-covered rock. Again, Ember dug carefully, unearthing the mushrooms that had been hidden from sight. "These will be enough to share for a while," Ember said, his voice tinged with hope. "We should mark this area. More mushrooms will grow here." On that remark, a fairy created a marvelous bunny sculpture, a winter indication of hope. As they continued to search, Ember spoke to the fairies. "The animals are so worried about the winter, but we need to keep our morale high and come together. This is our only hope. They don't just need food, they need to believe that we can get through this together." The fairies listened carefully to Ember's words. "We can't let the anxiety of the forest drain our magic," Astra said. "We need to help the animals feel hope again. Only then can our magic thrive." By the time the fairies had gathered all they could find, the moon had risen high in the sky, casting its pale light across the glowing forest. They rushed back to the gathering spot, hoping for everyone to still be there. As they approached, everyone was staring in amazement at what Ember was dragging with him. They quickly created a handout team to share the food with everyone there. As they shared the food, their joy and gratitude filled the air. Ember's heart swelled with warmth and gratitude, knowing he helped somehow. As he saw the animals laugh and talk again, their spirits lifted. His did too. The fairies could feel it too, the energy of hope, love, and gratitude flowing through them, and with it, their magic grew stronger. Ember, the young fox with a heart full of mischief, suddenly had an idea to boost the energy even more. He leapt forward. "If it's joy we need," he said, flicking his tail, "then let's make some." He crouched low, scooped up a clump of snow, and flung it straight at the badger. The snowball hit with a satisfying thump. The badger blinked in surprise, then let out a booming laugh. He scooped up his own snowball and lobbed it back at Ember, who yelped and darted away. At first, the other animals just watched, unsure of what to do. But Ember's laughter was contagious. A squirrel launched a snowball at a rabbit, who dodged and squealed with delight. Soon, the entire clearing erupted in a flurry of snowballs and laughter. Even Lumi, ever the dignified leader, joined in, her antlers glowing faintly in the moonlight. As the laughter swelled, something magical began to happen. The icicles hanging from the sequoia trembled, then began to glow softly, as if lit from within. The light grew brighter and brighter until the entire tree shimmered like a beacon. The fairies gasped in delight. They darted between the glowing icicles, gathering the radiant energy into their tiny hands. With this light, they spun threads of frost, weaving a shimmering blanket that stretched across the trees and the forest floor. The animals watched in awe as the frost glistened like stardust, wrapping the forest in a magical embrace. When the fairies finished their work, they fluttered down to the animals. The brave little fairy from earlier hovered in front of Ember. "You did this," she said, her voice full of wonder. "Your joy reminded everyone what winter is about." Ember grinned, his chest puffing with pride. "It wasn't just me. We all needed a little nudge, that's all." Lumi stepped forward, her voice gentle but steady. "Tonight, we have learned something important. Gratitude is not just a gift we give to others. It is a gift we give ourselves. When we are grateful, we create magic." The animals nodded, their hearts warm despite the cold. Under the glowing branches of the elder tree, the animals and fairies celebrated the beginning of the winter season. The frost had protected them, the food had been found, and the forest had been restored, not just by magic, but by the belief that they could face the winter together. As the gathering came to an end, the fairies whispered their thanks and flew off to continue their work, leaving the forest glowing under its protective frost. Ember looked up at the shimmering icicles and grinned. "Same time next year?" The fairies' laughter rang out like tiny bells. "We'll be here. Just don't forget to bring the joy." The first snow had fallen, but now with hope and unity, they knew they would survive whatever the season brought.